It's 2018, and a logistics company you've probably never heard of just lost a quarter of its value in a single trading day. A short seller publishes a brutal report. The media piles on. Billions of dollars in market cap evaporate in hours. Inside the company, executives are panicking. Lawyers are panicking. Bankers are panicking. But the CEO, a guy named Brad Jacobs, isn't. He calmly gathers his team and says, "We're going to spend $2 billion buying back our own stock." His advisors tell him, "This is insane. No one's ever done that." He does it anyway. 2 years later, that single decision is worth $4 billion in profit. So who is this person? How does someone go from a 23-year-old oil broker with a few $1,000 to building 7 different billion-dollar companies across oil, waste, construction equipment, and global logistics, creating tens of billions of dollars of value along the way? And the bigger question, is there an actual playbook here? Or is this just billionaire magic? This is the story of how to build empires on purpose. Brad Jacobs likes to say something that sounds simple, but is actually kind of scary. "I rearranged my brain," he says. Over a 44-year career as CEO and serial entrepreneur, he built multi-billion-dollar companies again and again in totally different industries by thinking differently than everyone around him. He calls it rewiring your mind for turbulent environments, places where conventional thinking fails. Because in his world, conventional thinking loses you billions of dollars. That sounds dramatic, but here's what that means. Most people react to chaos with fear. Entrepreneurs don't have that luxury. Jacob says your first job isn't strategy or finance or even operations. Your first job as an entrepreneur is mastering your own head. He literally trains himself to expect positive outcomes even in crisis. Not because he's optimistic, but because panic ruins judgment. He has this ritual. When something goes wrong, a deal falls apart, a stock tanks, a key exec quits, he pauses and asks himself 2 questions. Question 1, what's the worst that can actually happen here? And how would I cope with it? 2, if my friend came to me with this exact same problem, what would I tell him to do? It sounds basic, but it's not. What he's doing is creating distance between stimulus and reaction. He's forcing himself out of fear mode so he can see the lever that actually matters. Because to him, problems are not interruptions. Problems are the job. He had a mentor early on, a commodities boss named Ludwig Jesselson, basically a godfather of global trading. Jacobs showed up to lunch one day in his 20s, just dumping stress, all the fires, all the problems, all the stuff that wasn't working. His mentor listened, didn't interrupt him, put his fork down and said, "Brad, if you want to make money in business, get used to problems. That's what business is. Problems are opportunity in work clothes." That rewires him. From then on, Jacob starts treating problems like inventory. Every "oh no" is great. If I solve this, I get closer to my goal. And that mindset, that calm, almost predatory patience in chaos, you're going to see it over and over in this story. Because honestly, that's how you survive long enough to build 7 empires. The first empire, oil. In 1979, Brad is 23 years old. No experience, a few $1,000s. He starts his first company, a privately owned oil brokerage called Amrex Oil Associates. Now, oil trading in the late 70s sounds glamorous. It wasn't. There's no internet, no email, no Bloomberg terminal. The price of oil, the single most important number in the entire industry, is literally arriving by physical newsletter in the mail days late. Deals worth $50 million, $70 million are being made verbally over the phone on trust across time zones. No paperwork for days. It was chaos, which means to someone like Brad, it was free money. He realizes something before most people. The real product isn't oil, it's information. He builds an internal database, basically a primitive private internet where every broker at his farm logs any useful piece of intel they hear, who's buying, who's selling, at what price, in what volume. Now, instead of waiting days for pricing data, his team can move in hours. In that era, hours instead of days is basically warp speed. Within 4 years, Amex is doing $4.7 billion in annual brokerage volume. Offices worldwide. He's 27. He sells, and then he moves to London and starts Hamilton Resources, again in oil, but this time going deeper, trading crude, structuring complex financing deals, again in oil, but this time going deeper, trading crude, structuring complex financing deals, running refinery arrangements, revenue about $1 billion a year. This is the first pattern. Step 1, enter a messy industry. Step 2, organize the chaos faster than anyone else. Step 3, scale. Step 4, sell. Most people stop there. Brad doesn't, because now he's about to do something way harder. He's going to leave oil and build a trash company, the Trash Empire. It's 1989. He moves back to the United States and goes into waste management. Why trash, you ask? Because one Sunday morning, he's in bed reading Merrill Lynch Industries report, like a literal paper analyst notes. And he sees something that almost no one else saw. Two of the biggest garbage companies in America are each making around $500 million a year in profit in the 80s from trash. And he thinks, how hard can it be to pick up trash and dump it somewhere safe and send an invoice? That sounds cocky. It's not. He's doing what Peter Thiel calls first principles. Forget the myth. What is this really? He finds two huge trends. Trend 1, landfill capacity is shrinking. Stricter regulations are killing off small town dumps. So whoever controls the remaining permitted landfill space controls the pricing. Trend 2, the industry is horribly inefficient. Most local haulers are routing their trucks like it's a scavenger hunt. No software, no optimization. Just Bob knows this route, Mike knows this route. Jacob sees that as a blood red signal. He found an industry where everyone is making money while operating like it's 1955. So he builds United Way Systems. His team uses data and routing logic to optimize pickups. Instead of sending 50 trucks out over 5 days to clear a city, they figure out how to do the same work with 20 trucks in 3 days. Costs go down, margins go up, fast. Then he goes on offense, consolidation. Small operators all over America are great at driving trucks, not great at negotiating against a public company that knows its cost per mile, cost per pickup, and disposal leverage down to the decimal. He rolls them up. United Waste becomes the 5th largest player in the industry. He takes it public in 1992, just 3 years after founding it. In 1997, he sells it for $2.5 billion. That deal teaches him two things that will define the rest of his career. 1, he loves public markets. Not because of the fame, because of the leverage. You can create outrageous shareholder value at scale. 2, he loves talent. He says the real high he got wasn't just selling the company, it was building a team of what he calls outrageously talented people and letting them run. This is important. We're coming back to that. 1997. Same year he exits the waste business, Brad starts a new company, United Rentals. Business model, rent heavy construction equipment to job sites instead of forcing contractors to buy it. This is not glamorous. This is not a glamorous Silicon Valley idea. This is forklifts, trenches, scissor lifts, diesel compressors, mud, steel, dust. And he takes it public the same year he founds it. But here's the part that makes other CEOs hate him. In 13 months, not 13 years, 13 months, United Rentals becomes the largest equipment rental company in the world. How? Speed and information. The rental industry was slow to digitize. A lot of regional players were still handling fleet management on spreadsheets, or honestly in someone's head. But there was one clue in the ecosystem. By the late 90s, most serious rental companies were running on the same software platform from a company called Win Systems. That software was tracking hundreds of thousands of assets moving on and off job sites in real time. So Brad buys a software company. Now pause. This is such a power move. By owning the core software almost everyone in the industry uses, United Rentals doesn't just get better internal tooling, it also gets what he calls aggregated, anonymized visibility into supply and demand trends across the entire market. He can now see before competitors do where certain equipment is about to be in oversupply or in shortage. So he can move assets first. He can adjust pricing first. He can decide where to buy, where to sell, where to push, and where to pull back before anyone else knows they even have a problem. United Rentals moves fast. It scares people. This is the story he tells. The CEO of his biggest competitor, Hertz, which at that point had spent 37 years building a national rental network, invites Brad to lunch. Hertz CEO basically says, "You're moving too fast, you're wrecking the industry, slow down." Jacob's response is basically no, because from his point of view, this is war and speed is the weapon. Hertz took almost 4 decades to build a $1 billion rental business. United Rentals did it in a little over a year. And the stock, if you bought United Rentals at the start, their share price was around $3.50. Today, it's worth more than 100 times that. But this is a pattern. Find an industry with bad data and slow incumbents. Consolidate, digitize, move first, scale viciously, then do it again. The $500 mistake. Here's where most YouTube founder stories lie to you. They pretend it's all up and to the right. It's not. Brad Jacobs once lit $500 million on fire. In the late 1990s, the US government announces a massive infrastructure bill, the Transport Equity Act for the 21st century. Target number floating around about $600 billion to rebuild American roads. If you're in the business of renting roadwork gear, barricades, cones, stripping equipment, this is basically a bad signal. So Brad races in. He starts buying companies tied to highway work, assuming an avalanche of federal money is about to wash over the industry. Except it doesn't. Only about a third of that money actually gets spent, and not in concentrated wave, just in drips over time. The market he positioned for never shows up. Result, roughly $500 million in losses. Now here's the part that separates operators from gamblers. He doesn't double down to win it back. He doesn't cling to sunk costs out of ego. He calls it radical acceptance. See his quote, "See the world for what it is, not what you wish it to be." He sells the asset, he eats the loss, he moves on. That sounds cold. It's not. It's discipline. Because when you're building billion-dollar machines, the worst thing you can do is let yesterday's fantasy burn tomorrow's opportunity. The $4 billion move. Now we're back where we started. 2018, XPO Logistics. By this point, Brad's already done oil brokering, oil trading, waste, equipment rental. He's now deep in freight, matching shippers to truckers, expediting urgent loads, building what becomes an integrated global logistics network. XPO is a Fortune 500 company. And then a short seller attacks. A short report comes out accusing XPO of basically being smoke and mirrors. It spreads fast. The market doesn't wait to fact check. The stock drops 20%, then 26%, almost instantly. Inside the company, people are freaking out. Brad does exactly what he trains himself to do. He doesn't say this is unfair. He doesn't say how could they. He doesn't waste a second on moral outrage. He and his teams sits down and go page by page through the short report, calmly marking where the data is twisted. Then he flips the entire situation. Instead of seeing a crisis, he sees a coupon. The market, in his view, has just put his own company on sale. So he makes a move almost no one in corporate history has made at that scale. He authorizes a $2 billion buyback of their own stock. His bankers tell him not to do it. His advisors tell him not to. No company has ever bought back that high a percentage of their market cap this fast. It's too aggressive. It's reckless. He says that doesn't mean it's wrong. This is the rearranged brain in real time. He's not following precedent. He's thinking from first principles. If you know your business is fundamentally sound and the market is just mispriced it by panic selling, why wouldn't you buy as much of it as you can? 2 years later, that $2 billion in stock is worth about $6 billion. One decision under fire, $4 billion in value. This is not spreadsheets, this is temperament. There's one layer to this story you have to understand. Brad Jacobs does not think in terms of employees. He thinks in terms of talent density. He says the single most important job of a CEO is recruiting outrageously talented people and keeping them. And here's where he's actually more extreme than most founders will admit in public. He says you should overpay the hell out of them. His logic is brutal and simple. In most areas of life, the difference between average and great is maybe 2x. But in high leverage roles, the people actually steering a company, building a product, setting strategy, the difference between an average player and an A+ player isn't 2x. It's 50x, sometimes 100x. So trying to save 100K on comp by hiring a B player instead of an A player is fake frugality, because that savings might cost you millions of dollars in lost execution. He also does this thing, and this is kind of dark, but very honest. He runs a mental test on everyone close to him. He imagines them walking into his office and quitting. If his gut reaction is, I was probably going to fire them eventually anyway, that's a C player. If it is, okay, that's annoying, but we'll survive, that's a B player. But if his stomach drops and his first thought is, we're screwed, we're not replacing this person, how did we let this happen? That's an A player. A players get protected, A players get paid, A players get responsibility. Because here's the other thing he understands. Culture is not posters on the wall. He says an organization is like a party. You only invite people who bring the vibe up. And vibe to him is not ping pong tables. It's ambition, intensity, it's love of the mission. He wants people who care, not just about stock price, but about the craft. He tells a story about his HVAC guy named Steve. Not an executive, not some Harvard MBA, just a local contractor who services Brad's home air systems. This guy built his own small company after leaving a bigger firm. He obsesses over customer satisfaction. He ties his self-esteem directly to doing high-quality work. He wants to make good money for his family and do work he's proud of. Jacobs looks at him and basically goes, that's it. That's the same energy. That's the point. To Brad, business at every scale is about this exact loop. Do excellent work, make customers genuinely happy, get paid very well for it, use money to take care of your people and your family. Repeat. He's not ashamed of money. He's proud of it, because to him, profit is proof that you actually solved something real for someone. Let's zoom out. Because if you strip away the industries, oil, trash, rental equipment, logistics, it's the same movie every time. Step 1. Find an industry with high demand but ugly execution. Something essential, something no one brags about, something where incumbents are slow, complacent, or blind. Step 2, get obsessed. He doesn't get a feel, he immerses. He reads everything, trade publications, SEC filings, analyst reports, employee reviews. He goes to conferences, he talks to CEOs, bankers, vendors, journalists, activists, anyone who lives at the nerve center of the industry. He's trying to answer one question. What is the major trend everyone else is underestimating? His mentor had a line. You can mess up a lot in business. as long as you get the big trend right. Move first on the trend. In oil, the trend was speed of information. In waste, the trend was landfill scarcity plus routing optimization. In rentals, the trend was data visibility across fleets. In logistics, the trend was technology-driven brokerage and integrated freight orchestration. Step 4, scale fast and consolidate, because speed isn't just ego. Speed locks in advantage. Stay calm in chaos. Step 5, stay calm in chaos, because chaos is inevitable. And if you break mentally, you lose financially. Step 6, hire killers. Pay them, protect them, then get out of their way. This is not get rich quick. This is build value on purpose. Brad Jacobs has a line that sounds almost like a dare. We have it in our own hands to either make life meaningful or just pass time until we die. That's intense, but sit with it.